ténganlo hasta arriba porque si se va a escuchar. Y en sentido normal. Entonces,
Thank you. One of the speakers raises his or her hand to ask a question. All of the members of the opposite table can raise their hand to answer it. Right away, all of the speaker of the table team that asks the question can replicate the answers made by the other team. As a reminder, the debaters must keep their hands raised in order for me to know whether you still want to participate or not. Now, we can start with a question of the opposition team.
Opposite table. It is possible to reach high levels of organ donation without the compulsory organ donation system?
Actually, opposite table, it is not, because if there are no donors, then there are no transplants. And even though 70% of the public says that they would donate, only 50% are registered as donors. So the opt-in system is proved to be useless.
I say compulsory organization. I didn't say that the organization it was useless and things like that. So first of all, I want to say that the symbol of Israel they use incentives when they use incentives to prioritize the people that donate the organs. Also, the family that or the relative that has donated the organs are prioritized in this country. So yes, up at the table there's a way of, of hiding this right.
Up the table. Actually, there is many other ways to increase the donor rate. Following the line of my tables, take the example of Israel. It incentivizes and prioritizes its population so that if the person is an organ donor, they will receive their organs first. They will come first in the waiting list. So many people want to be a donor in order to be first in this waiting list. In Israel, this made the donor rates go higher, and well, that is a way to make the donation rates higher.
Question. Please.
Can you mention some of the countries where opt-out organ donation has succeeded?
Of course, of the table. I think that you want us to say Spain, and yes, Spain has an opt-out system, and Spain is leading the donation rate. But actually, as I said in my introduction, the these higher rates of Spain are not actually because of this opt-out system. Because as I said, it was introduced in 1979, and it was only with the introduction of the ONT, which is the National Transplant Organization, a decade later, that the donation rate really became included. So, actually, as many studies said, the organ donation and the higher rates of the countries that have opt-out system are not because of this system, but because of other factors.
As my CEO said, actually Spain didn't get the high rates with the opt-out system. It get it with the introduction of the MORELIA. So, and it was a decade later because the opt-out system introduced like in 1979, and it was only with the introduction of the ONT that decade later that the donation rates went higher.
Basically, according to information, the high rates that they have are not related to the opt-out system, but actually the implementation of the policy that after the policy implementation,
Well, opposite table, it's not what you think. What we are saying are facts. And as you couldn't mention anything but Spain, we are going to mention. Well, Spain with 40 donors per million people, Australia with 18 per million, Austria and Singapore with 99 of citizens who donate their organs with the hard opt-out system, where it doesn't matter whether you want to be a donor or not. We're talking about first world countries.
Also, opposite table, Spain did get the high rates because of the opt-out system. It doesn't matter in which year it was implemented, it actually works right now, which means that the system works. The opt-in system, on the contrast, does not, and it's proved because people are still dying because of the lack of organs.
A well-known argument in favor of compulsory organ donation is about the traffic, the black market, and the traffic of organs. So, opposite table. Is there another way to end the black market with the organ traffic that is not the compulsory organ donation?
Well, opposite table, actually the black market is not quite as established as you may think. According to the Senetra here in Mexico at least, there isn't such thing as a black market. That's part of the myths and false ideas that are created thanks to the misinformation because of the lack of education. So, with the education and distribution of all the information correctly, all these myths will be destroyed. And well, these facts were retrieved from the Senetra, so it's quite accurate.
Actually, opposite table, there is no people like there's no black market. There are other countries actually, like in India and Australia, there are black markets that actually in India are the main source of organ donation of the organs basically is the black market because it is a way that in the people, the tourist people, buy these organs. So opposite table, there is actually a black market, and maybe it's not in this country, but in other countries. Yes.
Opposite table. Actually, there are many other ways to end with the organ traffic, and you didn't answer if there were or which ones were. And a way to do it is to incentivize the population, as Israel, we will keep saying that, and to legally the persecution of criminals. And the statistics show that in all the population of China, only 37 are registered in the organ donation system as organ donors. Then, actually, in despite of this, China has many organs and the lack of them is not really big. Why? Because they get their organs with organ traffic. And well, compare the numbers. Only 37 persons are organ donors in China, and with the billions of number of persons, of people who is living in China, this number is literally, well, practically nothing.
Stable, how can an opt-out system benefit the thousands of people that might die waiting for an organ that will possibly never get? How can an opt-out system benefit the thousands of people that might die waiting for an organ that they will possibly never receive?
The opt-out system, as you've been saying, can or should benefit people with the waiting list and with having more organs, because as you say, everyone will be a donor unless they say they don't want to be, and then there will be more organs. Yes, and in theory, that's why it should help them. But actually, as we've been saying, there are many studies, and take the case again of Spain, where the compulsory organ donation isn't the thing that helps to improve the donation rates. So yes, in theory, the opt-out system should improve this and should benefit the population, but actually, in practice, it don't.
It is actually opposite table. This don't benefit at all the population of the country, because the opposite system don't benefit because, like in Spain, it was only 10 years later when they introduced the ONT that the rates were higher on donation, and this proves us, or according to the government of Spain, this proved that the opt-out system only works with the combination of many things like financial investment and good organization. First of all, opposite table, it is not waiting list, it's transplant register. And it is not correct to call it compulsory, as you can always opt out.
Also, opposite table, the question was how, not can it. So as you didn't answer a question, well, we will. Yeah, it benefits in the way that the lack of organs is reduced. And well, as the opposite table also kind of mentioned, yes, there are extremely a great amount of benefits. And opposite table, you mentioned in your answer that it only worked because of the many other factors that helped it. Exactly, but it works. The opt-in system does not work despite all the factors that you can add to it, while the opt-out system has worked in Spain according to the government of Spain. Despite the factors, it works. And please try not to focus just in Spain. It's a worldwide debate.
Opposite table, can you tell us what is presumed consent?
Presumed consent is quite a similar thing to opt-out system. It consists of assuming the consent of a person without being expressed said, but it also gives everyone the choice to opt out. So no one is being forced to do anything, just instead of opting in, you opt out. It's quite a similar thing, but it works better, because even though 70% of the population says that they are in favor of donating, only 15% are registered in the national transplant list. So it's just non-effective, and well, the opt-in system, while the presumed consent is effective.
Presumed consent is not the same as an opt-out system, because presumed consent is to assume from people's silence that they consent for the use of their organs, and that this licenses us to take them as they had been consented. This clashes with many individual liberties and the third article of the Human Rights about liberty.
Exactly opposite table. You say assuming the decision of a person. This clashes with the freedom and liberties that have each person to decide what is better for them and to decide what they want. Thank you.
Before you mentioned the words unethical and wrong. What it's actually unethical and wrong is to assume that because a person doesn't know, because like, for example, here in Mexico, with the ignorance of the people, many people don't know that we're actually a step ahead of an opt-out system. And many people won't know that they are in fact donors. What is unethical and wrong is to disrespect the people's human rights, as the Article 3 says, talking about liberties, and to clash with their individual liberties and their freedom. That's unethical and wrong.
table, can you please tell us which organs can be donated?
Answer.
Heart, lung, kidneys, liver, intestines, and corneas, bone, tissue like skin, and I don't know if I'm missing one, but these are the ones that can donate.
Well, there's a lack of information. You can also donate a pancreas, tendons, bone marrow, nerve, and heart valve. With these donations, we can save up to 8 lives. And as we all agree, we're in favor of saving lives of table. And with an opt-out system, there are more opportunities for people to save their lives when there's a way. Also, still for information, institutes cannot be donated. It's physically and logically impossible. So please check this out.
Question.
We already told this, but we want to sink into this topic. Do you know, or can you tell us, how does China has or makes or gets the organs that they transplant to other people?
Can you please repeat the question, opposite table?
Can you tell us how China gets the organs they transplant?
Possible, please try not to get stuck in just one subject. This is a quite extremely wide debate. Also, well, as you mentioned before, because of the traffic of organs, which is going to be defeated by the compulsory organ donation, because by having a compulsory organ donation system, people, while not being forced, are going to increase the donor rates, as it has already happened in many other countries. So there will be no need to go and buy organs in the black market. So the solution for this, and answering your question, by black market traffic, and the solution is compulsory organ donation.
Complementing to what my partners say, the solution for the organ donors in lack of China is no more than implementing the opt-out system, which is the government would finance the surgical intervention, and it would be a win-win.
Opposite table. You talk about the opt-out system as if it was the only way to solve problems of the lack of organs. Yes, you're right. China gets its organs with the black market and the organ traffic. But here's a question, a rhetoric question. If only 37 people out of 1.386 billions of people who are in China, if only 37 of them are registered as organ donors, don't you think that none of them want to be a donor?
Opposite table. Excuse me. Why should family decide whether the possible donor should or shouldn't donate?
Actually, opposite table, family should not decide if the person wants or does not want to donate. Actually, the person should be able to decide. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for people to decide what they want to do with their bodies after they die. They should be able to leave their wishes, and they to be respected.
Opposite table. If the person didn't let know their wishes, it is right that the kin or the family must, the relatives make this decision. Thank you.
Exactly, stable. Thank you so much for giving us a point. Family should not decide whether the donor should or not donate. And the family decides in the opt-in system because even though the donors can register, at the end of the day, the ones that make the final decision are the relatives, despite the donor's decision, which is a denial of the donor's autonomy. And this is completely wrong. In the opt-out system, people who do not wish to donate just opt out. And there is no problem because they are being respected as human beings, and all their ideologies and everything they want to implement in this are being respected fundamentally.
And also, what you say, the person decides. Well, the person is already dead. How can she or he take the decision? It's nonsense.
Okay, this is going to be the last participation of this section of the debate. Okay, this is your question, please.
Is it right, opposite table, to put above the human the right to decide, the right to life, to live?
What is not right, opposite table, is letting people die when there is a way for them to survive. And people, as we've been saying and you're not listening, can't opt out. If they do not want to donate, they won't donate, only if they mention it.
Following what my partner said, opposite table, in an opt-out system, no freedom of choice is being taken away. No one is being forced to do anything that they do not want to. They can just opt out. It's as simple as that. And the donor's amount is maximized because by this, people just, well, can be donors, and if they do not want to, it is respected, and the families are not involved in this. So the families will no longer be a barrier for the donation to be performed.
So, according to the United Donation Population Fund, the human rights are indivisible. That means that all human rights have equal status and cannot be positioned in a hierarchical order. So, opposite table, it is not right for this system to put above the right to decide, the right to live, than the right to decide.
Your question, please.
Is it the right to choose being taken away from the possible donor?
In theory, no, it doesn't. But again, theory is not the same as real life. In real life, there are people, like here in Mexico, I said again, that are ignorant about the laws, about how the country is its system. Then the right to decide, it's being taken away from those people.
Opposite table, seeing that you are ignoring the fact that we say of Mexico and the people that are ignorant about this situation, actually it don't help a lot, because people here are not in certain way that they don't know of this system and this law that can be approved. So the people can decide what they want, because in Mexico they're not taking seriously the right to decide.
Opposite table, first of all, this is a global debate, so we're not only talking about Mexico, and we are not saying that with an opt-out system, there is not going to be education about this. And of course, there's a way, and every single person that it's registered should be aware of this, but it's just as being born Mexican, as being born American, it's just another state that you are born with, is nothing against your freedom. Just to remark.
Opposite table, just to make this clear, no right is being violated. Of course, it is not right to deny the right to live or decide. But that's why the opt-out system is not denying any right of anything, because they can choose. And of course, education and information are fundamental to make the system work. But the opt-in system despite the fact that there is education information about this, quite weak, but there is, it's not working. And in Spain, the opt-out system with the education, information, and culture of donation is working completely, and it has the highest rates of transplants. So, opposite table, please pay attention. No right is being violated because they still choose, and the information and education is available, and it can be given to anyone who asks.
Opposite table, and with an opt-out system, people would get used to it. People will get familiar about it, and of course, there will be information. It's just how it should be.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was the end of the section, this section of question, answer, and replica. And now we're going to go to a break time. It is going to last 10 minutes. Okay? Nobody is allowed to be out of the room. Also, using electronic devices is forbidden. Remember that the persons that are guiding the teams can approach them, but without devices and without something that may be like not good for the team. Okay? Enjoy this 10 minutes break. Thank you very much. Okay?
Opposite table, 95% of adults in the USA supports organ donation, but only 54% of them are registered as a donor. With an opt-out system, a lot of the process of registration is saved, and this could be really helpful, and it's easier for people to save lives when there's a way.
First of all, opposite table, we would like to give you some points in which we are making controversy and in which you're wrong. The first one, you haven't mentioned any studies, data, statistics, or anything real and important and facts about an example of a country that does actually improves their donor rates by the opt-out system. Then that is because the opt-out system actually only serves in theory, because as we see in many countries, the opt-out system is not the reason why the donor rates are high. Also, you tell us that this is a global debate and that we should talk about other countries and that stuff, but actually we have talked deeply about China, Israel, Mexico, and the UK. But the countries you have mentioned, you haven't talked deeply about them. Like, if you didn't have any data of this data, does not contribute to your poster. So, well, that's our point.
Opposite table, we did mention countries where the opt-out system has worked. Maybe you didn't listen to them, but we will mention again. Austria and Singapore, there are some of them, where 99% of the citizens donate their organs with a hard opt-out system. So please pay attention of what we say.
First of all, we are giving an example, and it is necessary, according to what you say about we are only fucking in Mexico. So we are giving an example, and it is necessary because you keep repeating the same thing, and you do have to pay attention. And another thing, the government is actually who is deciding about if a person wants to donate or not, and family does not have to a place in this situation in the opt-out system. And a person's own decision is the most important thing according to the Human Tissue Act of 2006. So if the same law is saying this, why will we want to get this opt-out system if we are saying that the person owns a person's own decision is the most important thing? And that's all.
First of all, positivo, let us remind you that we're no longer in the question answer replica, so the questions must be rhetorical. Also, exactly positivo, as you mentioned before, the opt-out system does not include the families, and the donor's autonomy is respected, because in fact, according to the Human Tissue Act 2004, it is established that the person that takes the decisions needs to be in their own and complete mental qualities. And by suffering a loss, they are not. While in the opt-in system, the family is indeed taken in account, which means that the person is no longer responsible for their body and what happens after they die, because the family has the last word.
Just to be clear, opposite table. We did hear you, we did pay your attention, but that what you said about Austria, it was only in one participation. You haven't talked deeply about any country because, as you know, and you know it, it does not support your poster.
Positivo, why not, instead of focusing on the things that we said or we didn't say, you provide facts and we can conclude this debate correctly?
Because opposite table, for the hard that it sounds, you are doing exactly the same thing and occultating or making up with some other facts.
Opposite table, instead of trying to be rude, we're gonna give you another fact and another good thing about an opt-out system. Of course, family has a place, and with an opt-out system, it would not only help with saving lives, but also with paperwork. That is, no matter what, obligatory with a social worker when somebody dies. And With an opt-out system, you avoid the family to go through this fatal and long process when they are with this horrible pain of having lost a familiar. And this is about caring. This is caring. Please.
Opposite table. It seems like now you're the ones that are not listening. We have told facts. We have told tactics. We have supported our posture with many studies, many facts, and because they, of course, support of posture. Now, as a rhetorical question, as you say, can you tell us one example where the opt-out system is the actual reason and not other facts, not other facts. Only the opt-out system is the one that got higher the donor rates?
As you said, it's a rhetorical question, and we don't have the need to answer it. And as you mentioned facts, you mentioned in the past section that in China, only 35 people in billions donate. That's a fallacy. That's ridiculous.
Opposite table. First of all, you're making a fallacy of fallacies. If you don't know it, a fallacy of fallacies is when you say, I'm making a fallacy, but you don't know which fallacy it is. It is. And it is not a fallacy. It is a fact. Only 37, not 35, 37 people are registered as organ donors in China.
Opposite table, you mentioned before that the system did not work without the factors, for example, the education and the culture. Well, opposite table, let us just state and make clear that for a system to work, all the factors are fundamental and basic. Without education, without money, without all the factors that make up this system, it won't work. And the opt-out system, despite having the factors, is not working. And in Spain, the opt-out system with the factors is working. This creates a huge difference when something works and it doesn't. The opt-out system works.
As you may notice, the opt-out system is in countries that have good economy, good education, and that's the reason why it works. In Spain, for example, it supposedly works, the opt-out system, because, well, it is there. But the actual reason why it works is because they have infrastructure, they have education, they have the ethics or the thinking that donation is like charity. And that's the reason it works. And, well, the fact that you choose not to answer a question just means that the answer does not support your posture again.
First of all, opposite table, if we decided not to answer a question, is because this is not the time to answer questions. And you keep saying that an opt-out system is wrong, but you haven't given us any other solution.
Opposite table, again, I think, or it seems like you're not listening. We have given you another solution. Israel, take the case of Israel. In Israel, they prioritize the population so that if you're an organ donor, you get first in the waiting list. By this way, the donor rates had gone higher.
First of all, opposite table, the incentives you're mentioning completely annihilates the meaning of the word donation, because according to Cambridge, a donation is a gift or a transfer voluntarily without any reward. This means no reward, no incentive. This means that donation with incentives is not donation, it's a bribe. And also opposite table, well, I will give the word to my partner.
Opposite table, you just said it. You just proven our point. The incentives, they clash with the word donation. That's right. But you have been telling us all the debate. We're going to save lives. We want to save lives. What is first is to save lives. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is to charity or a donation or how it is. We're going to save lives. And this other system saves lives, even if it clashes with the word donation or not. By this, you are just annihilating all your arguments that say that saving lives is your only purpose.
Opposite table, you just mixed everything. You're saying you're in favor of saving lives, and we are proposing a system to save lives, and you're just against it, and you want facts. Let's talk about facts. More than 125 million people have registered as organ donor, but only 3 out of 1,000 can actually become donors when they die. There's also people that can be donors when that maybe didn't register before. With an opt-out system, there are more chances to save lives, which is the main topic of this debate.
Opposite table, we are completely in favor of organ donation, but we are against that this became compulsory.
First of all, opposite table, we are not being rude to you, so I would expect the same from you. And you mentioned that in countries where high education and information, there's a lot of organ donation. However, in Germany, Netherlands, and UK, there's a lot of information. They're first world countries. However, that doesn't assure that they are donors.
First of all, opposite table, we're not trying to be rude. I apologize if you think we're trying to be rude. We're not. And well, you said it. Those are first world countries. Also, Spain is, and that's the reason why the opt-out system works. You say that the UK in those countries, the opt-in system is not working and blah blah blah, but it's actually the way they're giving to organ donation that it's not working.
First of all, opposite table, we are debating against the whole table, so we would like to ask you to refer to yourselves as we or us. And secondly, exactly as you just mentioned, it works because of the information and education. Thank you for finally understanding the reason why we defend opt-out system. It works. And in Spain and the other countries that were mentioned and have been mentioned throughout the debate, it has worked because there is a culture and there is a whole system that has made the system work. And the opt-in system, despite having this, it's not working. That's the difference.
Opposite table, we have been telling that all the debate. It's good to you to realize that. And we give the example of Mexico, that they are into the discussion of if the law is going to be accepted here, and many of the people are ignorant about this fact. So when they do not know that this law will become here in Mexico if the law, and people do not know what is going to happen, so people cannot know how to get out of this opt-out system. So yes, table.
Opposite table, with all due respect, you keep arguing instead of argumenting. Let's say another thing. Ethnicity and race also matters in donation. Opposite table, nobody ensures that the donor and receptor are going to be compatible. So the more people that are registered in the donation system, the more chances to save human lives.
Opposite table, I would like to make a point. You say that the reason why people are not registering in the organ donation system is because of the paperwork or the bureaucracy, because it is long and blah blah. But that reason is actually the same reason why people's human rights are going to be violated, because this same paperwork will be needed to be done, but on the other side to drop out of the system, and that's why it clashes with human rights.
Opposite table, you just mentioned that people are ignorant. Exactly. If they're ignorant, we should educate them. That's how we make a system work. Education is fundamental for everything. And, well, as mentioned before, in the countries that it works, it's because of the culture. Also, opposite table, you just mentioned that it clashes with the human rights. Well, it doesn't. Because the human right, the basic one, is the right to live. And it's being denied because of the lack of organs. Also, opposite table, it is, again, not denied, because no one is being forced to do anything, and most of the population are willing to donate, but they do not register because it's too much work to go and opt in. The minority who does not want to donate opts out, which is why it is not a valuation of anything.
Thank you, opposite table, to prove our point. You just told that. You just said that. We need education. Why don't we educate them? Education is what makes this system work. It's not the opt-out system which works. It's the education, it's the ethics, it's the infrastructure, it's everything that